less like some call me Johnnies. Trust me. Fuck, I did it again, didn't I? Sorry this video took so long to come out, folks. There's been a lot going on over here. Sonic Adventure is a game that I don't have a lot of memories with. Unlike Adventure 2, I didn't actually look forward to this game's release on Xbox Live. That's not to say I hate it, but who's to say that I actually like it? So the question is this: do I like it, and is it something I can recommend to you? Let's find out. For this review, I'm going to be using the Xbox Live DX port. I would have liked to use an actual Dreamcast or the GameCube, but there's just one problem. You see this here? Meet the Elgato HD60. It's my capture device, and it only records in HD. I love this capture card, guys, but there are games out there that I want to review for you, but I can't. If someone could point me in the direction of a capture device that hooks up to these right here. After that, I got the GameCube, and from there I got my own job and bought every system on the market, except the Dreamcast. I recall renting this bad boy from a local Blockbuster, back when that business was actually relevant, and along with the system I rented Sonic Adventure. The problem is, though, I never beat it for one reason that I'll get into as the review progresses. I remember seeing this game on the shelves of every store that sold video games, and I was so angry that I never got to play it. I saw all sorts of characters make the jump to 3D like Mario, and needless to say, I was waiting for Sonic to do the same thing. Yeah, I know this isn't technically Sonic's first 3D game, but the only one I knew of at the time was Sonic 3D Blast, and that game could seriously go fuck itself. We also had Sonic Jam, Sonic R, and Sonic Labyrinth, all of them in which are also shitty because they're spin-off games, and it makes me glad that there's no planned sequels for these titles. Sonic, like most characters, had a difficult time making the successful jump to 3D, but then Japanese gamers were treated to Sonic Adventure in 1998, and 1999 for everybody else. This game featured everything that Sonic was known for and then some. You've got your high-speed platforming, power-ups, and everything you'd expect from the classics, except for special stages. Those are nowhere to be seen here, but that's not really a big deal. The Chaos Emerald and the Master Emerald, a group of mysterious emeralds with unlimited power. She befriends a peaceful entity known as Chaos, the guardian of the emeralds as well as the Chow. Despite warnings from Tikal, his name is Pac-Man. Pac-Man and his tribe attack the shrine, attempting to use the Chaos Emeralds for their own gain. However, Chaos transforms into Perfect Chaos and kills them. Following the Chaos's attack, Tikal seals the entity and herself inside the Master Emerald. Today, Knuckles the Echidna guards the Master Emerald on Angel Island, when suddenly the evil scientist Dr. Eggman shatters the Master Emerald and sets Chaos free. Angel Island plunges into the sea shortly after because the Master Emerald was no longer keeping it in the air. Resolving to search for the shards of the Master Emerald, Knuckles sets off to find the missing pieces and restore the Emerald. In the city is stationed the Egg Carrier, with Sonic and Tails using the Tornado 2 to follow them on board. Knuckles also boards the aircraft after collecting pieces of the Master Emerald and seeing an image of the Egg Carrier in the Emerald. On board the Egg Carrier, Eggman calls out the E-Series robots for their failure and removes them before stationing Gamma in Amy's cell. However, Amy convinces Gamma that he should not work for Eggman and that he's the enemy. In a confusion of newly discovered emotions, Gamma releases Amy. While being chased by Zero, Amy goes to the ship's deck to meet up with Sonic and Tails, but Eggman steals the Flicky's emerald. Sonic is forced to fight with Gamma, but Amy intervenes and asks Sonic to spare him. The ship loses altitude for some reason, and Tails, Amy, and Gamma flee while Sonic restores the ship to its original form. Sonic is confronted by Chaos, now with 6 Chaos Emeralds and his tail restored. Sonic defeats it once more and pursues Eggman while Big retrieves Froggy from inside Chaos and uses the Tornado 2 to fly back home. Meanwhile, Knuckles takes the 6 Chaos Emeralds and the 3 remaining Master Emerald shards back to Tornado 2, which crash after Big used it to escape the Egg Carrier. Having acquired all 7 Chaos Emeralds, Chaos transforms into Perfect Chaos and destroys Station Square in a massive flood that somehow doesn't kill anyone. The emeralds are regathered by Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, and then they bring the emeralds to Sonic. Having taken each character in the past numerous times beforehand, Tikal demands that Chaos must be sealed back into the Master Emerald. Sonic objects, saying that Chaos' heart would still be filled with anger and sadness if he were to be sealed inside the Master Emerald. Instead, with the cheering of his friends and the people of Station Square, Sonic uses the Chaos Emeralds to become Super Sonic and faces off against Perfect Chaos. Following his defeat, Chaos discovers that the Chow thrive in Station Square, quelling his anger. United with Tikal, Chaos ascends into the heavens and disappears. The game ends with Sonic chasing after a fleeing Eggman. The story as a whole isn't terrible, but it isn't great either. Adventure 2 may have lacked attention to detail, but at least it was easier to put together in one large narrative. So when you look at the story from each character individually, it's fine. Not so much. He can still run fast, jump high, spin dash, and this game even adds Sonic's new trademark ability, the homing attack. This attack is especially useful for taking out multiple enemies while keeping your fast pace. It's an awesome addition to his abilities, and I'm glad they added it. Now, as for the not-so-useful abilities, he has the light speed dash and the light speed attack. In order to use these, you have to charge it up all the way by holding down the spin dash button. Once Sonic glows blue, you can use his ability near a line of rings or near an enemy. The light speed attack is only used to access one of the stages, and you'll use the light speed dash very selectively in this game. Luckily, the light speed dash isn't as situational in later titles, and you don't even have to charge it, which is why I'm going to be easy on it this time. All in all, you'll have a great time playing as Sonic. He plays through 10 of the 11 stages in the game, and it's an example of a 2D Genesis character brought into the 3D world almost perfectly. His stages are not too long, while at the same time not being too short, and the objective is just to reach the end of the level. You can dig underground when you find the shovel claws. The shovel claws are mandatory to beat the game, so you can't miss them. Now, do you remember when I said I never beat this game on the Dreamcast? Well, here's why. This fucking search for the goddamn keys to enter the Lost World stage. This game teases you with the first one, putting it right next to the ladder in the jungle, but then it poops on your face by hiding it within the jungle itself. I spent hours looking for this motherfucker, and it wasn't until I played the GameCube version that I actually found it. Even after 16 years, it hasn't gotten any easier looking for this goddamn key. I'm not making this up. It seriously took me forever to find the second key to access the stage. It doesn't help that everything looks the same here. Why did it have to be like that? Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. Where was I? Once you get past the annoying aspect of unlocking that stage, Knuckles' gameplay is actually really good here. And that's why I gave treasure hunting stages such a hard time in Adventure 2. It wasn't broken in the first game, so why did they try to fix it? Luckily, she only gets 3 levels and they're not too long. Gamma's playstyle isn't grand either, and it's sad to say that the playstyle was reused in Adventure 2. It's all about shooting shit. The objective of all 5 of his stages is to reach the end of the level. Only difference is that one stage is finding Froggy, while the other ones is just destroying your target. You have a time limit, which isn't as bad as you may think because you get a time bonus every time you kill an enemy. Gamma's running speed is pretty good and he can jump pretty well. The fact that they reused his playstyle in Adventure 2 and didn't make it any better really confuses me. Gamma gets 2 upgrades. One of them allows him to hover in the air, and the other one increases his blast radius. His hover booster is the only useful upgrade, and it's mandatory to beat his campaign. So all in all, he isn't that intrusive, but at the same time, the playstyle just didn't need to be here. And now it's time for, you guessed it, Big the Cat. I didn't talk about his section in the story because it's literally unimportant. Even though Gamma and Amy's stories were completely unnecessary, you could completely remove Big from the game and it wouldn't change anything. His story is all about him trying to get his pal Froggy back. That's it. There's no action, there's no platforming, no speed, no nothing. So what is it that you do in this part of the game? You go fishing. Now ask yourself this. Why would I want to fish in a Sonic game? Yeah, I know Johnny already asked that question, but that's literally the same thing I thought of when I played as Big for the first time. No disrespect intended to anyone who likes to fish, but who the fuck asked for this? Here's what you gotta do. You start the stage, you find Froggy's location, you cast your line, and then you reel him in when he bites. If you reel him in too fast, the line will break, causing you to lose a life. I'd show you footage of it, but I completely forgot to die. Big's playstyle, though annoying, is laughably easy. My main issue with this is that it's mandatory to beat the entire game, people. Battle is almost as dull as the character battles. These boss battles are a complete joke. Hit them 3 times and you're done. No strategy, no epic cutscene, no nothing. Now let's talk about these guys. Emblems are this game's collectible. You get one for completing a stage, you get one for completing a mission in the stage, or finding one in the hub world itself. If you're playing the DX version of the game, then there are even more emblems for you to collect because there's random missions scattered throughout the game. If you collect all the emblems in the Dreamcast version, you unlock absolutely nothing. I'm not kidding, guys, it's mainly for bragging rights alone. But if you collect them all in the DX port, you unlock a Metal Sonic skin. It's completely cosmetic though, and I personally don't think it was worth all the trouble of collecting all the emblems. Bottom line with that, don't bother. Unless you have a YouTube channel that you're still trying to make a name for, don't waste your time. Luckily, all the characters control makes getting the emblems relatively painless. All the characters control reasonably well. Aside from Adventure 1 is actually better than 2. Don't hit that dislike button yet. Let me explain. Unlike Adventure 2, Adventure 1 doesn't tire me out if I'm not controlling as Sonic. Yeah, I know I griped a lot about Amy, Gamma, and Big, but I didn't get bored playing with these guys as fast as I do playing the mech shooting or treasure hunting in Adventure 2. This game established the formula for the Adventure series, and naturally you would assume that a sequel would take the issues with its predecessor and make it better. They did that for Sonic, I'll admit, but everything else was just not executed that well in Sonic Adventure 2. Am I glad the fishing nonsense was scrapped? You're fucking right I am. But if I sit here and tell you that I think Sonic Adventure 2 is better than 1, I'd be lying to you, and my name's not Lying Biggums. And that's all I really had to say, folks. Sorry that this video took so long, but like I said, I'm leaving no stone unturned here. And now I want to see what you guys think. Do you agree with my opinion of Sonic Adventure? What are some of the memories you have of this game? Leave it all in the comment section below, guys. I'm all about comments, so keep them. Well, after an 8, almost 9-month hiatus, I'm finally back in action, ladies and gentlemen. I am so sorry for the long wait. There's just been so much going on over here. And to those who were expecting the Metal Gear Solid review, I'm sorry, I ran into a lot of technical difficulties, which caused me to have to skip it for the time being. But I do appreciate your guys' understanding. Gears of War is a game that I have an absurd amount of memories with. I played this game so much that my total playtime was right up there with the likes of Halo 2 and Sonic Adventure 2. It's evolved into a big selling franchise that's had its ups and its downs. So here's the question. Does this game still hold up today, even though it's nearly 10 years old? Let's find out. For the sake of good picture clarity, I'm going to be using the Ultimate Edition port for the Xbox One. It's an HD remake of the original for the Xbox 360. I went and got it in 2007, and I must say, I have no regrets. To me, this game was almost perfect. Good graphics, fun gameplay, and almost everything else you'd look for in a game. This was one of the only games where me and several of my friends made a game battles team and tried to play professionally. I miss you guys. Nowadays, it's really nothing special compared to the other shooters we have floating around. But this game was legendary back in 06. And wouldn't you know it, the developers hopped on the bandwagon and did the exact same thing 343 Studios did. Make an HD remake of the original and let you take a trip down memory lane. I mean, it worked for Halo, so why not try Gears of War? Does it work the way they planned? Hell yeah, it does. The story and gameplay are completely untouched in this port, and that's all I could ever ask for. This is an example of a remaster done right, much like The Last of Us. But is the game itself actually good? The campaign does a phenomenal job in immersing you in its fictional world known as Sarah, where humanity is down to its last stand against a threat known as the Locust. With this knowledge, Delta Squad sets off to Phoenix Father's estate to collect all the data that was discovered. Why the Phoenix estate? Another good question. Barrett finds a random object laying on the ground that somehow has a butt ton of locust tongues on it. And then Control determines that it came from Marcus's house. I mean, sure, you can argue that Control just simply traced the data back to its source, but why is the data there to begin with? Guess what? It's never again mentioned. Once they get all the data, all that's left is to upload it into a weapon of mass destruction known as a light mass bomb. Things tend to get tricky for Delta here as they bump into General Rom, one of the Locust Grand leaders. Dom and Marcus make short work of him, however, and upload the data into the bomb. After the bomb detonates, humanity is now under the impression that the Locusts are destroyed. But the Locust Queen insists to us at the end of the game that they are still alive and kicking, prompting us for a sequel. I know that was a pretty short and possibly half-assed plot summary, but this game's story is who played for a sport known as Thrashball, and his nickname was the Coal Train. You get it? He's huge, like a train, and his name is Cole. I bet you thought it was because he was black. You racist. Sure, there's novels and more games down the line that explain all that, but put yourself in the shoes of a person who hasn't read the novels, and this is the only game that you can get. It just leaves too many unanswered questions, and I feel like the story suffers because of it. Despite all that, though, I think the gameplay more than makes up for what the campaign lacked. It's a pretty standard third-person shooter, and it only brings a few new things to the table. So what makes the game so fun? Really, I'd have to say it's the violence and how intense and immersive the game really is. While you're playing through it, you look around and you see this world completely devastated by total war. Mangled soldier corpses everywhere, anti-government activists, homeless people, and of course, cities annihilated by weapons of mass destruction. It's all very cool to look at, and it makes you feel bad for humanity.